Yes, welcome everyone to Satsang. I'm looking into the universe because we are here just in our wonderful aloneness and connect with you from a place of lockdown in Australia, but the only thing that can be locked down is who we are not. And who we are can spread all over the globe. So a very, very warm welcome to everyone. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time today or haven't been with us for a while, we started to explore a series from the great master Tilopa with his Song of Mahamudra, like a tantric journey. Tilopa was a very beautiful tantric master, and he brought for me the most direct and uncompromising direction where Tantra leads us. Because often Tantra is only relating to sex and to make our lovemaking more pleasurable, which is of course a big part of it, because our sexual energy is the only energy we have. But what we don't know, and what Tilopa points towards, is where it leads to when it is not thrown out, when the energy is not kind of used for more excitement, but when the energy is used to enter into the sacred realm of our being, into that place that nobody has ever seen, known, being able to label, and yet most of us are searching for it. So the Song of Mahamudra, Mahamudra is an interesting name. Maha means big or huge or great, and mudra is the great posture. Mudra, you may be familiar with the idea of hand mudras, and in India there are many mudras that indicate different states of presence and consciousness, and that have a certain meaning. And the Mahamudra is often also seen as the great cosmic orgasm. And that is a very difficult word, because the mind will see that as a exciting goal to be achieved, and none of that is true. The goal is who we are. The goal is what is already here. The goal is not in the future, because the future has never come, in case you were wondering. And the goal cannot be missed, so it cannot be in the past, it's just now. And the strange thing is that most of humanity overlooks the now, overlooks the essence of our being, which is more like space, more like infinity, more like a room that has no limits, no walls, no boundaries, no ceiling, no floor, like the open sky. And at first, perhaps when we hear this, I can talk about myself. When I heard Osho talk about our vastness, I started to fantasize about something that I may be able to achieve when my meditation is deep enough, when I have mastered the awareness in every chakra, and so on, when my spiritual journey has shown a certain level of ecstasy, joy and love, which is very fleeting because they are all kind of, from that level, there are emotions that come and go. And what I have been overlooking for years is that in whom everything comes and goes. And what is that? I think every one of us, everyone who is listening today or is with me today, you have heard these things thousands of times. But have we really heard it? So for me, satsang is kind of a beautiful possibility to remind each other. It's not me reminding you. It is it, or the divine, or the presence, reminding you and me, until the you and me disappears into what we call the one, or the mystery, or the Mahamudra, the great merging of all opposites, the great merging of high and low, of good and bad, of right and wrong. And as we talked many times already, since COVID is moving around the world, is that the polarities are even stronger or more visible than ever before. Even in communities that looked like very harmonious and where people were talking about how much one we are, there's a big division. The division between the vaxxers and the non-vaxxers, between, the conspiracy theorists and the scientists. And there is so many controversy. And we are not going to go into any controversy this evening. We're just moving our attention beyond the duality, because that's more real. I don't know where you are right now. I'm sitting here. Some of my friends are sitting here. And is there anywhere to go? Is there anything to do in order to be? Or are we already? It's not a theoretical question, it's a really important question to ask yourself. In this moment, how do I know that I am? If you like, you can eventually, after the satsang, you can write down your own answers. And if you look closely, you will always end up in the conclusion that I am. Even if we don't know what I am, who I am, in which way I am, how do I know I am? But I am. So the great cosmic orgasm, the Mahamudra, is actually not more of content. It is the complete delusion of everything that we are not. And the strange thing is, everything that we are not still reveals who I truly am. That may sound very illogical, but that's the best way I can say it. So let's see what Tilopa tells us in his song. I like it that he calls it the Song of Mahamudra, because when we sing something, there's there's another aspect than just the mind. There's a feeling in it, there's a melody in it, there's a quality in it, there's a vibration in it. So when I read the verse, please don't cling to the words, but let the words kind of gently carry you into that not knowing that we sit in. Any time when we stop becoming, any time when we take a moment of stillness, like now. Now, while I talk, and maybe later when we have a meditation, these are also kind of possibilities that you can use to ask questions. My beloved Melly is at the computer with you, so she can read your questions, and perhaps I have something to say to them. I may not know the answer, but we can begin to make a dialogue. So at any given moment when there's something arising and you would like for yourself more clarity, please write it in the comment, and Melly will eventually read it to me. Okay? So here comes Tilopa. The darkness of ages cannot shroud the glowing sun. The long Kalpas of Samsara never can hide the mind's brilliant light. There's a very important saying in the moment. No? We could say, COVID and all the fear that goes around the world, and all the insecurity and all the mistrust towards the conventional medicine and the doctors and the politicians that pretend to be doctors. I mean, there's so much so-called darkness appearing. And Tilopa in one blow takes the value out of, to take the importance out of that darkness is perhaps something terrible. The darkness of ages cannot shroud the glowing sun. The sun has never seen the darkness. It reminds me, many years ago, I was running a course in Denmark in the Osho Risk, and there was one beautiful man who his friends called enlightened, and at that time, there was kind of a lot of judgment when somebody called himself awake or enlightened. And he had a very beautiful saying that touched me very much. When somebody asked him about his dark problems, the problems of his dark psyche, he said, the sun, does the sun ever has seen a shadow? You check this. If you are the sun, can you see a shadow? Yes or no? Yes or no? No. So, what is the sun in our inner world? The sun in our inner world is the field of awareness, the choiceless awareness, that which simply sees what is. That's a very challenging way of looking, because the moment we see something, there's an interpretation of the mind. The moment we feel something, there's an interpretation of the mind. The moment we tell ourselves a story, the story is an interpretation of reality. So the moment we use the mind will interpret reality according to its own belief system, its own conditioning, its own habits, its own upbringing. So it doesn't mean upbringing and whatever we learned is bad. It seems like we needed to learn the division so that we can return to the awareness of oneness, to the awareness of presence, to the awareness of space. So the darkness of ages cannot shroud the glowing sun. So nothing can actually cover the sun. It may appear like this, for example, in a solar eclipse. For a moment it gets a little darker. But then when the moon passes and reveals the sun is exactly the same. It's always bright. And then he says the long kalpas of samsara can never hide the mind's brilliant light. What are the long kalpas? Kalpa, as I understand it, is a word for long periods of time and periods of history. And kalpas of samsara are these periods of up and down, about this wheel of samsara. It goes right, it goes wrong, it goes light, it goes dark, it goes happy, it goes sad, it goes melting, it goes alone. It is basically this endless wheel of life that most of us are caught unconsciously, not knowing that there is a brilliant light every single fraction of a moment, even now, that simply sees what is. So if I see darkness, I cannot be darkness. Does that make sense? Because I am the seer, and whether in my vision field appears darkness or light doesn't matter, because I am that which is seeing, is what Tilopa calls the mind's brilliant light, but it's not the mind, the thinking mind. It is, in my sense, he calls it the presence, the clarity, the awareness of who we are. And that awareness is like a light. It's like the sunlight. The sun doesn't choose on what to shine. It shines on the sinner and on the saint. It shines on dirt and beauty. It shines on ugliness and ecstasy. It shines on everything, indiscriminate. And now Tilopa tries to kind of explain this a little bit. Though words are spoken to explain the void as such can never be expressed. That's why it's called the void. The void is this abysmal nothingness that the mind cannot describe and the mind cannot understand, and the mind has nothing to do here. Even though all of our minds try to define it, though words are spoken to explain the void, everybody tries. The void as such can never be expressed. Though we say the mind is bright as light, it is beyond all words and symbols. Again, when he talks about the mind here, he talks about our deepest essence of being, our light of consciousness. And already, of course, here language is very limited, because when I say our, it's beyond the me and the you. The light of consciousness is everywhere. It's, Anywhere you step, you're surrounded and permeated by consciousness. We may not always be aware of awareness because we are so busy and hooked into stories. But it is beyond all words and symbols, which means beyond all stories. And then it gets more confusing. He says, although the mind is void in essence, all things it embraces and contains. Can we get that? Everything that is as form, that we can maybe see, touch, everything that is and appears as a sensory experience, something that we hear, sound, something that we smell, we taste, we touch, we see. All this appears like something outside of us that is kind of solid. But really, that which is aware of it is vast and infinite, and all things it embraces and contains. So Melly gives me a sign that there is a comment or a question.
So from Yvonne.
Yvonne, yes, welcome.
She says she had a relationship with someone for a year and he only said he loves her because he was in love with the physical. With the sex, her own dignity makes it difficult to feel offended. Can you say something so that her mind can cope better with the separation process? Thanks.
Yes, Yvonne. I don't know if everybody has actually heard the question. The difficulty in a separation process because the boyfriend so-called only loved her body and her physical beauty, and so the boyfriend was caught in the first attraction. No? Of course, in the moment the one becomes two, there's a polarity, and when the woman is beautiful for the man, it is of course his own projection, but he doesn't know it. Or when the man is beautiful for the woman projects on the man a certain picture. I think we touched that a little bit in the last satsang, or in a few satsangs before, that on the level of oneness we are just one consciousness that is aware of everything. But the beauty of life is that consciousness appears as two. The one appears as two, and then these two can continue to recreate life. This is why man and woman, male and female, are actually the greatest potential for new life. And sex is basically the material way of creating new bodies, new body minds, new little babies. And until you have become a little bit more aware, you will feel very enchanted and you feel very attracted to beauty. That's totally normal for men and for women. Women's aspect of beauty may be a little bit different. Maybe the woman is more ecstatic seeing flowers than seeing her bearded boyfriend. Who knows? No? But some boys also look very beautiful, and some women feel attracted to that beauty, because everything is actually an expression of the divine. So your boyfriend telling you that he was attracted to your beauty and to sex sounds superficial, but it's a good beginning, isn't it? Somewhere it needs to begin. Now, the trouble is, how I understand it, you did not feel seen by him as the being that you are, as the glorious divine expression through this body-mind. And my guess is, forgive me, Yvonne, that your boyfriend didn't see it and you didn't see it. So you wanted him to see what you didn't see in yourself. Isn't that what we search very often? You know, we are with our attention outside and we want to have the appreciation and the love from outside, because this is what we learned as children. We learned that the source of love is outside of us. And at first it feels right. It's in the mother, you know. If the mother is not there to take care of you, you will die. No? But then when it's taken further, that whole structure, then in relationship we will continue to look outside for someone or something to be fulfilled inside. No? And then, of course, nobody can fulfill the other. And I don't know how you ended up separating. Is perhaps, Yvonne, you didn't feel seen, or you were disappointed because your man didn't correspond to your expectations. That's usually what happens. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's kind of a discovery and a learning. And then comes, of course, the devastating experience of separation. Why is it so painful to separate from a beloved? Why do we look for fight so that we can separate? Why do we hurt each other? It's all because we are in a totally mistaken identity. What Tilopa tries to say here is much, much deeper than the male-female polarity. He points towards that which is in every woman and in every man, aware of both. And what is this awareness? And this is a very strange experience that I very much recommend to look for, because it can be so easily overlooked, is that when our identification in a relationship with the other ends, there are many things happening, but the main thing is, I can talk for myself, you know, what I had with my beloved Nura. Our identity is unconsciously caught in both. So we are one when we are together, and now when we separate, we don't know anymore who we are. We know this is me, but who am I without this? Who am I without him? Even if the relationship was kind of abusive and unhealthy, somehow many people cling much, much longer in the relationship than just separating, because we are so afraid of being nobody. And if then we start meditating and moving through all the layers of our personality and don't park in any layer, and we have talked about the layers, I just repeat myself a little bit, the layer of identity, who we think we are, is not true, it's not who we are. The layer of beliefs, what we believe to be true, is not true. None of our beliefs in their essence are true. They are thought forms. What we identify is with our emotions and the heart and love. And this emotional bondage is not the real heart. The real heart is empty. But we don't want that emptiness, because in that emptiness it appears we don't exist. And our whole body-mind is geared to perpetuate a certain sense of existence. We identify very often with our emotions, with our feelings, with our sensitivity. And very few of us have penetrated the deepest emotions to the core. Why is that so difficult? Because we are falling into what Tilopa calls the void. There is no thing. And then suddenly we realize this body, yes, it is functioning incredibly well, but there's actually nobody to drive it. That may sound very strange. It's like a car, a self-driving car. Forgive, of course, we are much more than a car, much more beautiful. But ultimately, in our essence, there is no form until we recognize it's not just empty, it is everything. This body is fueled by the whole existence, by the whole divine existence. But the divine existence is invisible. It's like the sky. It looks like we see the sky, but there is no sky. There is emptiness, full of potential. We have a beautiful garden here, and you plant seeds, and out of this tiny little seed that is almost nothing grows the most huge tree. It's the same with us. Whatever arises in the body-mind is a fruit of nothingness. And whatever arises when you're in a relationship is then all these things that you have been longing for in your own world have been projected on the other and then have been disappointed. And the agony of it is then we have to kind of feel the deep, deep, irrational pain. It feels like dying. No? So my invitation to you is, don't be afraid of the pain of separation. Let it happen. Let it take you so deep that everything that you thought you can control is not controllable anymore. And you will be so surprised. I am still here. And maybe then through the pain, through the depths of hurt, you get the first glimpse of your true nature. Many people woke up through the deepest suffering. Just look at Jesus, I think it cannot get much worse than hanging on the cross and realizing that God, who was supposed to save you, doesn't come. It doesn't take you down. God, why have you forsaken me? That's the ultimate separation from the beloved. And then the surrender came. Now it's not I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying, or trying to point what Tilopa tries to point you. Though words are spoken to explain the void as such can never be expressed. And even though we say the mind is bright as light, it is beyond all words and symbols. Although the mind is void in essence, all things it embraces and contains. That's who you are. You as the capital mind, the mind in capital letters, is already infinite. And it appears void, and we look to fill it. And the strange thing is, in relationship, we look to fill it through the other. Until one day you discover there is no one, and that no one, that nothingness, is, from the male aspect of seeing it, is awareness. From the female aspect of seeing it is love. You may have heard that many times. You are love, you are awareness. And the male and female is within you. So in Tantra, the whole art of merging and melting in sexual union is just a beautiful preparation for your inner merging, for your inner marriage, when the male and female inside merges. But for that, sometimes to let go of the outer male or female is a very painful, or can be a very painful situation. Don't avoid it, Ivan. No? And eventually, we're all on the journey. Eventually you come across experiences where suddenly whatever I'm saying right now makes sense. But it makes sense not through an intellectual understanding. It makes sense because there is a knowing that has been hidden in you. It begins to open and flower, and you see. I don't know if that helps what I'm telling you. It's, it may be very deep, but I can tell you nothing went wrong even if you had to separate. And if you felt not honored by your boyfriend and only, if you felt treated only like an object, it simply means he was not conscious enough to see the goddess in you. But the more you see the goddess in you, the more whoever you're going to meet from here will begin to see the goddess in you. Because it's a vibrational field. No? So somehow through these so-called negative experiences we learn a lot. No? Does that make any sense to you? I don't know. Okay. Now, the darkness of ages cannot shroud the glowing sun. This is a very beautiful meditation that I recommend. I talked about it before. For many years in Pune, we had a regular darkness meditation, which I would very much recommend. And the idea is you sit in a room that is completely, totally dark. And it gets very difficult to make a room so dark that there is no light penetrating. You will see how difficult it is to keep the light out. But when you manage, and then you sit, at first you will see a lot of your mind, and you sit with open eyes. And then more and more, the darkness outside and the darkness inside merges into each other. You don't know anymore whether you have your eyes open or your eyes closed. And you allow the darkness to kind of flow into every cell. And it may feel like you dissolve into darkness as darkness. And you will recognize that you are always here, but not as somebody or something. In this case, as awareness of darkness, or love of darkness. And that is what Tilopa calls the glowing sun, the mind's brilliant light. This is why this the name enlightenment came into being. Because when you sit long enough in darkness, you don't know anymore whether it's dark or light. I remember a few years ago I had a darkness retreat in India, and we decided with our guide to sit in darkness for 5 days, day and night. And then we totally lost time, lost the sense of time, of space, didn't know where we are, what we are. I was alone in my room, Nora was alone in her room. And I felt somehow, sometimes when my mind came back, I said, it must be much, much longer than 5 days. So when the guides finally took us out, we have been sitting in there for 10 days and nights. And it was such a simple but such a beautiful experience. A direct recognition of the quality of nothingness that is at the same time the quality of total fullness. And in the moment, probably whatever I'm saying doesn't make any sense to you at all, but if you have experienced anything like this, it's these little pointers that point us as an invitation to not shy away from any unknown experiences, but to let these experiences be signposts to the infinite. I was thinking today for this. Is there more? Ah, okay.
This is from Maria.
Maria, yes.
In your experience, Rahasya, it is possible to experience. Is it possible? I think she means to experience, let's say, a path without experiencing suffering, and even with a smile on one's face, or even through joy and laughter. Is it possible to get there, through joy and laughter without having to suffer?
Is it possible to, do I understand this right? The question is it possible to be on a path that doesn't include suffering? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So that one can reach where one needs to through joy and laughter, not beyond right and wrong, and good and bad suffering and joy are equal. No? That's what she's saying.
Yeah, well, I have a friend who has been with the Master for many, many years, and the Master started teaching when he was 4.
Yeah.
So yes, it's possible. We are born as Buddhas. We just forget quickly, and depending on how much our Buddha nature has been covered by conditioning, depending on that is the level of suffering, because it's like peeling your skin, no? And that hurts. But if your skin has been transparent from the beginning, not many people, of course, only probably quite a few fortunate ones, they never had to go through this, at least if I quote Osho in this way, at least not in this life. You see, if you like the idea, which is also only a concept, if you like the idea of reincarnation, apparently whatever level of consciousness we have reached in a past life, that's where we connect again and continue in this life. I don't know if it's true, but it makes sense on a level that we meet people in very, very different states of consciousness, whether they have meditated at all or not at all. Doesn't matter. So my guess is yes, But Maria path, the question is kind of like a dream, because you're dreaming of not suffering. Which we all do, by the way, don't we? Yeah, we all dream, I don't want COVID. No? And I'm afraid, I'm an anti-vaxxer not just because the vaccine may be wrong. It is because I don't want to suffer from the vaccine. It's another way of trying to avoid suffering. No? So my suggestion or my answer to this is don't avoid suffering, just live. We're here to live. And then if your life gets more and more filled with joy and with gratitude, and where you can sit and see the craziness of this world from a little distance, like a benevolent grandfather or grandmother, which we are, by the way, Maria, no? Then they call this a certain level of wisdom. No? What is wisdom? Wisdom is a little bit of attachment from our own story, from our own idea of who we are in our human form, to that which just watches the wonderful, crazy unfolding of this incredible life. No? So, I know we all try to go beyond suffering or to get rid of suffering. But Maria, I think you know by now that the only way to free our suffering is to free the pain, to let the pain open, to be the space for the pain, to be the infinite consciousness that can hold the pain. And in that infinite consciousness, pain is freed into love. That's what I was trying to put in my book title, Free Your Pain into Love. Like, every experience, may it be as terrible as you can imagine, carries in itself the potential to be held. By whom? By that which is aware in you, by that which is love in you. And it's not a new ideal. You cannot follow it as an ideal. You should love. It is a courageous journey to balance on the cliff, and to the right and to the left is the abyss. And you walk not knowing where it leads you to. And more you will find, an unreasonable joy, an unlogical happiness, and a peace that is absolutely not a consequence of any experience. It is just a peace of being. Okay, so don't avoid suffering. Stop dreaming of a path without suffering.
And she says, well, thank you, yes.
No? Yes. Let me see. Okay, I think I need to go to the next verse of Tilopa, because now he gives also to you, dear Maria Paz, he gives a roadmap where to go or what to do. So the song continues. Do not with the body, but relax. Take a breath. Can you hear that? Do nothing with the body, but relax. Now watch your mind. The mind goes, oh, but I have so much to do, yeah, and what about my grandchildren? What about this and that, and my money, and my survival, and my health, and how much I need to do. Do not with the body, but relax. Shut firm the mouth and silent remain. Is that possible? Can we just shut the mouth and be silent? Empty your mind and think of naught. Boy, how long have I misunderstood this guidance? I always thought my mind has to be empty and then I'm a good meditator. Well, Tilopa says, empty your mind and think of naught. Like a hollow bamboo, rest at ease with your body. This is one of the most important tantric guidances. Can you imagine that with your partner? Maybe first you're very excited because you're about to make love, or you want to make it really exciting and beautiful. And Tilopa, which is a great tantric master, says do nothing with the body, but relax. Shut firm your mouth and stay silent. Empty your mind and think of nothing. Don't think of the great orgasm. Don't think of more pleasure. Don't think of the great, fulfillment. Don't think anything. Like a hollow bamboo, rest at ease with your body. Giving not, nor taking, put your mind at rest. That is amazing. That's a very important saying, because we learn from the very beginning in childhood, don't take anything from others and give. So give and take. And he says, giving not, nor taking. So don't give and don't take. Why does he say that? Because the moment there is an I that gives, we feel great. We feel how to say, generous. We feel, I am giving you. And don't take. So many of us take. We want, many men who see a beautiful woman, they want to possess and take the beauty, and then, of course, the beauty is killed because the poor woman is seen like a sex object and not really seen as a goddess. So, don't give and don't take. What happens? Now perhaps we can move a little bit more into the tantric part of it. When you do not with the body and relax with each other, and you don't think of doing, of giving or taking, you will find that the energies between man and woman begin to flow. Why? Because, I don't know, some of you have heard me talk about the polarities of the chakras, because the male first chakra and the female first chakra have opposite poles. So the female is the receptive pole, the male is the active pole, the giving pole. So it's two magnets. You just put two magnets by the side of each other. When they relax, they attract each other and energy begins to flow. And then when we don't do anything and don't throw the energy out, eventually the energy kind of accumulates and moves into the second chakra. And in the second chakra, the male is negative and the female is positive. And that has many implications that many couples don't understand. The woman is at home in her emotions, and the man is afraid of a woman's emotion, just like the woman is afraid of the man's first chakra. The woman wants it, but also doesn't want it because she has been hurt so much through rape and misuse and early penetration. And in the same way, the man has been penetrated emotionally, not always in a positive way, by the woman and hurt there. So if you do not, and relax the body, the energy finds its way. And if we don't throw it out through the first chakra, which is a beautiful thing at the beginning, it makes children, it's a very creative energy, but if you don't throw it out, it moves higher into the second chakra, and there's a circle beginning. And again, if you don't throw it out, in the third chakra, the male is again positive, the female negative. So the joy and the strength and the vitality of the male nourishes the female when she is receptive there. But also there's a lot of conflict when there's no receptivity or when there are power trips. And then when the energy moves into the heart, again the woman is positive here, the man is receptive in the heart. So in the tantric teachings there's a lot of exploration that is not through doing but through observing what energy does when you do not with the body but relax, when you don't talk or interpret about things but stay silent, when your mind is empty, so you have no idea where this lovemaking should go. Like a hollow bamboo, rest at ease with your body. And that is, when Tilopa says giving not taking, that is not giving, that is a natural sharing where you don't take and you don't give, but you put your mind as rest. And then he explains the word Mahamudra. Mahamudra is like a mind that clings to naught. Thus practicing in time you will reach Buddhahood. It's a contradiction in terms. No? He says practice this, but it's a non-practice. It's a relaxation. It's a letting go. It is a surrendering to life that has its own expression. You just look at nature, at animals, at birds, at flowers. Everything is in harmony with nature and evolves in its own pace. Except man that wants to change, that wants to interpret, that wants to kind of, manipulate the energy. And when it comes to sexual energy, there's a lot of power trips and manipulations happening. So in Tantra, that energy can serve Mahamudra, can serve a space where the mind doesn't cling to any idea what should happen. And thus practicing in time, you will reach Buddhahood. That's such an exciting journey. Because then you can never move into a routine, you can never go on automatic, it's always fresh and new. No? Now, I really like that expression, like a hollow bamboo. Rest at ease with your body. Why hollow bamboo? You could say every human being is in a way like a flute, like a hollow bamboo. And the flute is empty, and this is why it makes such beautiful sounds. No? Only when the flute is empty, the sound of the universe, the sound of existence can sound through the flute. I've been playing the flute quite a bit in earlier days and sometimes now also. And it's such a miracle. You have a hollow instrument, there's nothing in it. And the wind, in this case your own breath, creates a possibility for sound. And the sound differs according to which hole of the flute you open or close. In a way it's the same with the chakras. No? if you look at the human being, the human body and the human energy body as a flute, then you could say each chakra somehow has a certain melody, a certain quality, a certain color, a certain vibrational field, and a certain expression of life. We talked about this in some of the satsangs. And the more we allow that energy to open and express itself, first chakra, the more we allow the physical energy to celebrate itself. Look at little children. They run around for no purpose. There's just so much vitality in the body. And then when we become sexual beings, there is so much wonderful sexual energy that doesn't have a goal. It's just the beauty of play that then becomes play of sensuousness in the second chakra. It becomes play of energy and magnetism in the third chakra. It becomes love in the fourth chakra. It becomes prayer and devotion in the fifth chakra, and so on. So, to give that a little bit more context, I would like to share with you a part of a very beautiful meditation, because I've been talking too much right now. And the meditation, in a way, is like playing your inner flute. The meditation is called Chakra Sounds. And we will do this with music, and we will make sounds into the different chakras. The whole meditation goes that we go 3 rounds, like sound in the first chakra, sound in the second, sound in the third, sound in the fourth, in the fifth, and in the sixth, and in the seventh, and then we go down again. And in our meditation, we do it 2 times. And after 2 times, when we are coming back down, we will sit in silence for a while. And when you do that meditation, you can make the sound with your mouth open, like ah, or with your mouth closed. And you will find, I will announce the chakras. Each time we go a little bit higher, you also make the sound a little bit higher. And hopefully you can hear enough that the sound is heard through the speakers, and you can adjust your voice to the sound. Now, a few things to be aware of. When we make a sound, at first we actively do it, but then you will find the sound simply happens. It's like you allow it to happen. And you can imagine that the sound takes you deeper than whatever the chakra that we are making the sound to is expressing in life. It takes you back to its essence, to its core, to its emptiness. And then when we go higher, the sound goes higher, but also allow the sound to go deeper and deeper and deeper inside. Shall we try this? So it's very simple. We make a sound in each chakra, first going up the ladder so that the sound gets in a higher frequency, and then we go down the ladder again. And then we rest for a moment, a few seconds, in emptiness, in presence. And then we start the sound again, up and down. And then we will sit silently for a while, just resting, like Tilopa says. Not giving, not taking, put your mind at rest. Not clinging to anything. Like a hollow bamboo, rest at ease with your body. So let the body be the hollow bamboo. Okay? So let me find it. So you can make a sound into the first chakra, into the perineal region. All the way down. Now make a sound in the second chakra, the lower belly and the lower back. Now make a sound in the third chakra, the solar plexus area. Now make a sound into the fourth chakra, the heart. Make a sound into the throat chakra. Now make a sound into the forehead center, the third eye, sixth chakra. make a sound into the crown and the top of your head, the seventh chakra. The sound connecting to the universe. Now gently back to the third eye, to the sixth center. And to the fifth center, the throat. And the heart, the fourth center. And solar plexus, the third center. Further down, second chakra, lower belly. And all the way down to your roots, first chakra. Fall into the silent center of nothingness. Start again with the first chakra. Deep sound. Be aware of the empty space within. the second chakra, the lower belly. And further up, further up into the third. and further up into the heart. Further up into the throat. And into the sixth chakra, third eye. Gently down again, just following the music. And it's falling into the silent, empty center, like a hollow bamboo. And we will sit for a while. from that depths inside, you can take a deeper breath. Out of nothingness, out of infinite space, become aware of the body again. Feel how existence can gently move like the air through all the different holes of the flute, until you find a good moment to open your eyes to a very new moment here. Yes, so whatever has been touched today, let it kind of find its own inner ground, it's like seeds that we sow, and let the new sprouts of awareness and recognition continue to flower. Now, if you're interested in Tantra, we will have an online course organized by my friend Kandra in Sweden, and it will be a Zoom training in October. And Maria Paz, who has been with us tonight, she will put the link for this Art of Love and Intimacy training onto the comments, so you may want to look through it and have a look what we are offering there. It is during 2 days, on a Saturday and on a Sunday, for you in the morning, for me in the evening, each time 3 hours, where we will explore some of the things that we address in the Art of Love and Intimacy, Tantra Alchemy for Couples. So stay tuned, and thank you for being with me tonight, or for you in the morning, for some of you. And remember the light within, remember the space within, remember the grace within, remember the divinity within. It is not somewhere outside of you, it is right here, right now. Namaste.